What is up, and welcome into the Easy Smoke and the GM podcast. I'm your host, Ezra McCann. I'm joined, as always, by my outstanding co-host. He's Chicago public league legend. He's a Simeon legend. He's a Grambling State legend. He played second base for the Tigers back in the day. He was all swag. It's Brandon Williams, a.k.a. Coach Smoke. And we got our NFL draft enthusiast. No?
Guru. Yeah, Guru. Yeah,
Guru.
Analyst. Guru.
Analyst. Mock
all around
draft
good guy.
All that stuff. He's Glenn Morgan. He's our GM. Gentlemen, what's going on? Is not too much in sports. I don't think, man. Very slow time. Slow
quiet.
Time right now.
It's a big payback weekend. Big rematch. Simeon versus Kenwood City Championship Saturday.
Is that I saw Simeon won. They beat Curie in the overtime. Yeah. I didn't know that Kenwood won. Who did Kenwood beat?
Kenwood played Perspectives.
Oh, we got the easy way in then, huh? Okay. No, actually, Perspective is not bad. Not bad.
They had a Cinderella season.
I know Whitney Young got upset.
Yeah, Curie beat them.
By
pretty
Curie,
good.
Yeah. All right.
Yep.
All right. This weekend, it's on and popping again.
Yeah, it sounds like a bet at the end. That's what it sounds like to me. That's what I'm hearing.
I don't know.
We can discuss it.
I made a bet in the regular season and I lost. So I don't know. Now you already know I'm superstitious, conspiracy theorist, all that.
So yeah, outside of Kenwood and Simeon, nothing going on here.
No. Quiet.
Crazy week. Sky
had a few things happen with their program, but that's about it. Their team, but that's about it. It's real
Lost
quiet.
Like everybody.
We won't be able to talk about it today, but that's something we need to talk about in the very near future. What's going on with Chicago Sky? Because this is not the first time this has happened.
True that.
That's an issue, but with everything that's going on, LeBron breaking the all-time scoring record, NBA trade deadline. I keep calling it trade deadline. I did that last night. Trade deadline. And by the way, Super Bowl 57 is coming up Sunday, which it seems like no one is even thinking about right now.
Yeah. Nah.
But let's start up with Tuesday night. What happened Tuesday night? LeBron surpassing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for number one all time in points scored. For me, the roll up to it wasn't that big of a deal for me. But then it sort of changed in the moment. Actually seeing it happen.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta, I'm the biggest Jordan fan out there, but you got to give him his props, man. That's a huge accomplishment, no doubt about it.
Well, what does that have to do with Jordan? Him being a scoring champion?
No, nothing. I'm just saying that I am, if you got to ask me, all the debates have been who's the GOAT. MJ or LeBron.
I thought we were just talking scoring champion because those are two different arguments. Scoring champion are facts and GOAT is opinion.
Yes.
It is. It just is.
Yeah, I mean, is he the scoring?
Is it?
Champion?
Is he the scoring champion? I don't know if he's the scoring champion.
That's why
all-time leading scorer.
He's all-time leading scorer.
Right. All-time leading scorer are facts. And
if I'm not mistaken, he only led the league in scoring one time, right?
If that.
Been consistent. Yeah, once.
Yeah, one time.
Been very consistent.
He just has the longevity. He's been
so did Kareem.
Blessed to play 20 seasons.
So did Kareem.
Kareem did as well.
Yeah. To get that record, you have to be playing
for
a long time.
Yeah. And exactly. You can probably count on one hand how many players have played as long as those guys, right?
Actually played or just existed in the NBA, because those are two different factors looking at it too.
You're right about that. Actually played.
I would say maybe just him and Kareem.
Yeah.
And Kobe,
when you say not 20?
Nah, Kobe didn't play 20.
He didn't play 20.
Kobe played 20 years.
Did he? 17 to 37?
Kobe played 20 years with the Los Angeles Lakers, if I'm not mistaken.
Didn't he lose a year? Injured? Suspension?
Well,
Suspension?
so did LeBron.
No, but I mean, LeBron's been playing since he was 12. Well, he looked like he was 25 when he was 12.
18 to 37.
So
he did 20
19.
years.
That's 19. So 20 seasons, 19 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said, like you said, a handful of people probably. I don't
Did
know.
Did Malone play 20 years?
I was going to say maybe Malone might be up there too. Maybe he might be like 17,
And
18 years.
He's number 3 on the list.
That's what I was saying. We seeing a trend here.
Yeah.
Right.
That those guys that played that at the time are at the top of the list.
Meanwhile, Mike only played 14, and
why are we keep why
32? I'm just saying.
Why are we bringing Mike? Why are we bringing?
Saying.
How does Mike keep coming into this conversation? We talking about LeBron.
Okay, always in the conversation.
Let's get back on track. Let's get back on track. The moment I can agree, like you said though, easy that the moment leading up to it really wasn't that big of a deal to me until the day of.
Yeah.
And then it was like I was locked in, anxious to see this happen. I mean, granted, it was coming up. I mean, I don't feel like that record was as publicized like that. And I guess it was because no one thought it would ever be broken or whatever the case may be, but it wasn't really made out to be such a big deal, like the home run record or something like that. It was kind of just like, okay, Kareem's all-time leading scorer. Oh well, until it started to look like LeBron would catch him, and that's when you started to hear it more. But it was something to see. It's one of those moments in my lifetime that I would say I remember exactly where I was when it happened. When you have those type of things take place in your life, like that's a big deal. Like it's certain things that happen in sports that you remember. And when you have those moments, that's a major instance. Of course, I'll never forget where I was when Jordan made the last shot. I'll never forget where I was watching the 28-3 comeback. I'll never, certain things I'll never. I hate to say it, but I'll never forget when my Yankees blew the 3-0 lead. It's certain things you will never forget. And this is a moment I'll never forget. Him breaking the all-time record. And I don't think it will ever be broken in our lifetimes.
Well, no, it's based on the way they play the game right now. I mean, with load management and everything, you're not going to play enough games to sniff the record.
That's true too. And he's still playing. That's another thing. He's going to continue to put it out reach.
It's interesting. You said both you guys kind of pointed out how the build up to breaking the record was kind of like not as much of a buildup as maybe the accomplishment would suggest it should have been. I think for me, I wouldn't say the build up was fantastic, but the build up to me was at least interesting. And I thought mainly ESPN, showing some stuff and talking about it. And I thought, they gave it a good week beforehand. So it wasn't like it was just 2 days before, but to your point, Brandon, I think a big reason why breaking the record didn't have that anticipated or anticipatory buildup or anticipatory, us as fans, salivating or waiting for it to happen, is because it's not baseball. Outside of baseball, numbers and a lot of other sports just don't have the same allure. Doesn't have the same allure, doesn't have the same sense of legacy, doesn't have the same sense of the grandeur. It just doesn't. And baseball has a lot of effing numbers, so I don't know, but and maybe because it was this nation's first national pastime, so to speak, outside of boxing and horse racing, which the numbers don't really have the same. But as far as a team sport goes, obviously home run and hitting streak and strikeout, some of those kind of things, but it just doesn't. And football suffers the worst. Like, it seems like the numbers, they keep breaking every 5 to 10 years. Every generation, every football generation,
Yeah.
which is about 7 to 10 year span. It seems like records are being broken. And now with analytics, you get so many more new numbers. And did you know that this is the first person to ever tie his shoes while throwing a pass with his left arm? That's never been done before. You can start getting all these goofy, type of statistics that haven't, quote unquote, happened before. So basketball, it's quickly becoming, arguably maybe the number 2 sport behind football in terms of popularity in this country. I think internationally it's very popular. It might be right behind soccer in a lot of ways. Basketball still doesn't have that legacy of numbers. When we talk about numbers in basketball, is how many rings you got.
Yeah.
Because points are accumulated at such a rate, and now you've got different statistics we didn't have. Like for me growing up, and speaking for myself, I'm not being curmudgeonly, I'm not being an ageist, I'm not saying get off my lawn. I'm just saying, for me, the numbers growing up were points, assists, blocks, rebounds, steals. Now it's efficiency shooting, it's true scoring. I'm like, what the hell is true scoring?
True shooting percentage.
Right, true shooting percentage, plus minus. I'm like, when did this become hockey? You start to get a lot more statistics. And with the analytics, you're getting a deluge of statistical information and numbers that, what do the numbers really mean? So for basketball, what really means is how many rings. For football, almost how many rings as well. It's not so much breaking, statistical numbers. It's accumulation. Are you top 5? Are you top this? I think with baseball, the numbers are still pure. There's still some sense
baseball is a numbers game. I tell people that all the time. It's a numbers game. So I
think that's what. And the other thing is, I think LeBron is such a polarizing athlete on so many different levels. Like, he's polarizing at like 3 or 4 different fronts. Like some people are like, I can't stand he went to the Lakers. I'm not a Lakers fan anymore. You literally have people stop being Lakers fans just because LeBron went there. You have people, it's always LeBron, Michael. You get that polarization. And then it's LeBron, is he authentic? Do his teammates really respect him? I mean, this guy is like polarizing on so many different levels. For a person, in my opinion, and of course I'm saying this is my opinion, but for a person who pretty much has done everything the right way. I mean, for all the hype and all the pressure and all the eyes that have been on him since he was basically 15 years old, for him to accomplish what he's accomplished, to excel beyond most people's expectations, not just on the court, but in life, I think this man should be one of the most celebrated athletes, particularly among our African-American culture, period. I mean, like up there with, for different reasons, but up there with the Muhammad Ali's, for things you've done, accomplishments in your sport, but outside of your sport, other people like Arthur Ashe's, other people, that have done things that have enhanced not just their own self-being, but the people around them.
But he's made some missteps though.
Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. But his missteps aren't the kind where you're saying, you're looking at the police blotter.
He toyed with my Bulls in 2020 and in 2010.
Okay. Here we go.
And then came out with this decision to go to Miami.
Still
haven't forgiven him for that misstep. That's a big misstep.
Oh my God. Okay.
What else? He's just killing the movie industry right now. He remade Space Jam. Did an awful job with it.
Oh. Hey, but he was really good with
he remade House Party.
I heard that was tragic.
I watched it last week. I spent $20 Oh my God, it was an
I heard,
awful movie.
I heard that
Hey,
was a tragic.
Missteps.
Hey,
Missteps.
one of the best series out there, low key, Survivor's Remorse.
I've been told that. I've always said I wanted
Really
to watch.
good.
I just haven't.
It was good. It was good.
It was a good show, and it just they killed off Mike Epps and it ended.
Third season, yeah. Somehow
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. So
Missteps. Missteps. No. I'm half joking there, but no, you're exactly right, man. He's done everything right, man. You never heard about this guy getting in trouble. No extramarital affairs that we know of. At least it's not in the public. He takes care of his kids. He's an outstanding role model. Nothing bad you can say about LeBron, man.
Yeah.
Just that he's not my GOAT. That's it.
But it's so polarizing for so many people.
I know the decision is part of it, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the huge deal is.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
As to why people
why is he so polarizing? Yeah. You got the LeBron stands that love him.
Yeah.
And then you got people that
hate
him. Yeah.
On opposite end.
Yeah.
And I think that goes into this record why it's not. I mean, think about it. When he broke the record, even his teammates were looking like, yeah, whatever. It's like
they gave him props.
Look at AD's face.
Well,
look at Patrick Beverly beforehand and look at Russell. They was like, yeah, whatever, man.
Well, Russ, we know what's going on. And you saw what happened. You saw what happened yesterday. So
yes, it goes into what I'm saying. Polarizing. I mean, it's like, look, if Kobe had broke the record, they'd been like, oh man, Kobe, wow, he did what Mike did. I mean, if Mike broke the record.
No. You think so?
I think compared to LeBron, yeah, I think
before you got to take out Kobe's untimely passing.
I'm saying
I don't know.
If Kobe here's right quick. Here's why I say that. If Kobe been the one to break it, all-time Laker, he never been on nobody else's team.
Mm-hmm.
5 rings, and one without Shaq. And Kobe, as a statesman, as an elder basketball statesman, was becoming more appreciated amongst his peers. How many times you hear guys say DeRozan, he owes some of his game to Kobe. Jason Tatum, I owe some of my game to Kobe. Guys, on his peers, not so much.
I don't know about those.
Not peers.
Those are guys
younger guys.
Those are guys that grew up. They grew up watching.
Younger guys. I take that back. Not peers, but those that came in and after him, maybe 5, 7, 8 years and longer after him.
Right.
They had more of a reverence for him. So I think as Kobe got older, there was more of an reverence and more of an appreciation for his doggedness, his Mamba mentality. I mean, think about Mamba mentality. That's how I turn around being selfish. I call it Mamba mentality. I mean, he reshaped his image, especially after the situation in Denver. He kind of had to because of that. But I think if Kobe been the one to break it, all-time Laker, and a person who most resembles Michael, so it makes sense that it's okay. Plus, he played longer than Michael, so it's okay. I think LeBron. It's like LeBron gets smashed for what you just joked about earlier, going to Miami. I'm taking my time to Miami, and so he's playing with superstars. Forget the fact that Miami didn't even make the playoffs the year before he got there. Okay, it's like, yeah. And then he leaves and goes back to Cleveland. Oh, he just got Kyrie. He got more superstars. Forget the fact that Cleveland was the worst team in the league the year before he got there. Okay. Oh, he wanted a bubble. That ain't a real championship. I mean, dude, forget how hard it was to stop and start and then play in front of no fans, and everyone's facing the same situation. It's just like dude can't win for losing.
Yeah, being stuck in pretty much jail.
Yeah.
Playing ball.
Right. And it's like he's done that later in his career. It wasn't like he was 25 doing that, So dude can't win for losing. What I'm saying is he's polarized. If Kobe had done it, I don't think he gets the same polarization. I don't think it's at the same level comparatively to LeBron. Yeah, one person's not going to be loved by everybody. It just doesn't happen that way. But I'm just saying, I think some of those things, LeBron comes across sometimes inauthentically to people. And I think for whatever reason, I don't know why, but that seems to be the perception of that seems to be held against them, among other things.
LeBron is a classic case of too many people love you, so I'm going to hate you.
Yeah, I guess
like it's a classic case of it. Like his fans are nauseating.
Yes,
They are. But I'm not that type of person to hold that against the actual player.
Mm-hmm.
Because like everything you said, as far as people holding the decision against him or saying he went to Miami or he did this, on the flip side, his fans will use those talks and say he lost to so many Hall of Famers as if he didn't have those same Hall of Famers on his team. Like, oh, he lost to Tim Duncan and Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker and Kawhi Leonard. But he had
Chris
Ray
Bosh,
Allen, Chris Bosh,
Dwayne
Dwayne Wade. It's even. Like, so it's double-sided, which makes such of a polarizing encounter between the two. You know, like, but to go back to Kobe, I think LeBron James was the best thing that ever happened to Kobe Bryant's career. Because of, like you say, the polarizing and the people wanted somebody to hate, they had to find somebody else to love. Nobody really loved Kobe Bryant like that. Kobe was not high on the people's list until the rise of LeBron James. And hate to say it, Kobe fans out there, that's the truth.
that's real.
So many people became so infatuated with Kobe because they wanted somebody to take out LeBron.
That's real.
The untalkables need to be put out there. That's the truth. Like
outside of LA, Kobe was not liked.
No one really I know people that were Kobe fans, but the love he ended up gaining, like you said, towards the latter of his career, I'm for me, I feel that was because of the rise of LeBron James. And it's coincidentally that a lot of that love really came after the decision when LeBron's popularity took a major dip. And, but all in all, man, the guy is all-time great. He's the second greatest to me, and salute to him. I'm glad he broke this record because, like I say, with his fans, how they like to spin it. And I'm going into some GOAT talk a little bit. The way they try to spin it. Look, this coming from a past first player, break the all-time score. That's the biggest myth. That's almost big as Babe Ruth existed. That's the biggest myth in the world. Yes, Jim, Babe Ruth is a myth. I don't care what nobody says.
Oh, man.
LeBron James as a pass first player is
you have
just
seen
as absurd.
Pictures of him, right?
Of who?
Of Babe Ruth.
Babe Ruth, Paul Bunyan, same guy.
Right. See, I'll see GM with me too. but that myth has to stop. The guy is one of the all-time great scorers this game has ever seen. And I kind of want to ask you all that. How do you all look at him as a scorer in his game? I saw Max Kellerman put out a list of the all-time great scorers that seem to be very debatable. And to me, I actually didn't disagree with the list to an extent.
I didn't see it.
So he had all-time great lists. All-time scores, top 5.
Okay.
Kobe was 5.
Okay.
Durant was 4.
Okay.
Kareem was 3. Wilt was 2.
Who was
Jordan
3?
was 1. Kareem.
Oh, Kareem was 3. Okay. Who was
Kareem
2?
was 3. Wilt was 2. Jordan was 1. And his reasoning behind it was because, and this was one thing that I was talked to a lot of guys about, totals wasn't really a thing. It was all about the averages until this came about.
Right.
And The big controversy though in the list was the fact that Max put Wilt Chamberlain in his list.
Why? It will should
No,
be.
And
Wilt
that's what threw me off. Like, if anybody to me should have been replaced was Kareem. He only averaged 24 for his career.
But
Like,
it was
I'm
kind of
like, I get
skewed
it.
though
He's
toward
the
the end,
second
though.
score.
I think it was skewed at the end, though.
How many scoring titles have Kareem ever won?
I don't know, but was it 6 MVPs?
6 MVPs, yeah.
Yeah, I think that.
So that
I'm gonna look it up.
You're not an MVP if you're not scoring.
No, I'm not saying he, but when me looking at average wise, I would have said LeBron over Kareem more so than saying LeBron over
Well,
Wilt.
keep in mind, Wilt and Kareem on that list are doing it without 3-point shots. So part of it even didn't exist when they played.
Or they could have
No,
said,
Wilt, the 3-point shot didn't come to 79.
Right. And then Kareem,
But this also where, it's like, okay, y'all giving Max a hard time for Wilt. Like, no, be man enough to say Kobe should get off the list. or KD. Like,
well, here's the thing, and this is what we have to understand. When you say greatest score, are we talking about your accumulation of points or your ability to score in volume a variety of different ways? Because KD, Michael, and Kobe are virtually unstoppable. And Carmelo would be in that top 10 for me. You just the various ways you're able to score. Damian Lillard and Curry would probably arguably start being on, what I'm saying? You can start throwing in some of these people because these are people who are just hard to stop from scoring. But if we're talking about accumulation of points, now we're talking more statistical as opposed to you being a great scorer. For example, there are some people that can score, but other people are great shooters. Follow what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like Ray Allen, great shooter. Is he a great scorer? Later in his career, he wasn't scoring like he did when he first got into the league. You know what I'm saying? Allen Iverson, great scorer, not really a good shooter. So when it comes to scoring and being great scorers, how are we really defining that? Because if we're talking accumulation of points, that's different. That's statistical. If we're talking about your ability to score in a myriad number of ways with different types of defenses, so on and so forth. Now, that's where I think Max Kellerman's list, I don't really have much argument with the 5. You can the order, whatever, but the 5, I'm like, yeah, it was hard. Wilt was hard to stop. Kareem was hard to stop. Michael's damn near impossible. Durant, especially in this era, damn near impossible to stop. Kobe, I mean, those 5 guys can score basically in any era at any given time.
What about Karl Malone?
I think he's too dependent on Stockton. To me, I see it just too much of a synergistic connection to his ability to score with Stockton. Because when we came to the Lakers, he wasn't really scoring like that. I know
he was 90 years old.
I understand, but but here's the thing: Michael was 90 and he could still score, and LeBron's 95, and some of these guys, Kareem. I mean, some of these guys could still score without having he's and fair or unfair, he's too connected to Stockton. So I don't. Is he a great scorer? Most definitely. Was he hard to stop? I don't know if he was hard to stop or if he just benefited from the system and the player he had given the ball in the right spot at the right time, like damn near all the time. Like if he played with anybody else but Stockton, then that argument, I wouldn't have that same argument, but he's just too connected to Stockton.
Kareem had 2 scoring titles.
Yeah, there you go.
71 and 72, both years he was MVP.
There you go. And he took Milwaukee, which is, one of the smallest markets in the world, to a championship and also with the Lakers. So, and to me, Kareem is arguably one of the greatest basketball players ever because the dude dominated at every level for 3 decades, 60s, 70s, and into the early 80s. He's a phenomenal basketball icon. And He's one of those stratospheric guys. Like you're almost in a stratosphere by yourself because of your uniqueness and your ability to do what you did, how you did it for as long as you did it. But when I look at Michael Jordan, and I just saw some Michael Jordan stuff recently, and to Ez's point, because Michael always seems to enter these conversations, even though he's not top 3 scorer. When I look at Michael Jordan and in the debate, like who's the GOAT, for a while I was leaning towards saying Kareem, but I watched Michael and I'm like, there's literally nothing he couldn't do on the basketball court. Like he could do anything that Kareem did. He didn't do a skyhook, but he blocked shots. He scored in the post. He scored out on the perimeter. He scored driving to the basket. He could score off the dribble. He created his own shot. He played defense. The man gave all out all the time, every time, basically. And he dominated. 6-0 in championships. I forget how many MVPs. I mean, it's like literally the man took over point guard duties and became like, I think this is when he got his first MVP, right? He ended up being like
88, 87, 88.
80 something, yeah, something like that, where he ended up like, becoming a point guard because we didn't have one. And next thing you know, he was leading for a while there. He was averaging, almost double-digit assists plus scoring. I mean, he's the first person to lead the league in scoring and win a title. Nobody else could do that before him. So it's just, there wasn't anything Michael couldn't do on the court. And Kobe is a distant second, but nobody else is even close to that. Not really, not an all out. Durant's is a phenomenal scorer, so is Melo, but Kobe's a little different. and Mike is again stratospheric. So yeah, man, it's an interesting debate, but I think you really have to quantify and qualify what we're talking about before we start saying, and everybody's GOAT ain't gonna be the same. Let's just be real.
Yeah, that's true.
It should be.
True.
It should be. I'm just saying. Hey, LeBron said something during the entire celebration on Tuesday night. He said that he sees himself playing another 4 or 5 seasons, easy past that, and that he's still competing for championships.
Okay. I'm going to be a millionaire too. I say a lot of things.
I don't know if no, he's averaging 30 points a game.
Yes, today now, and you know what happens sometimes to athletes?
What's that?
There's this thing called a precipice. Sometimes they fall off the precipice of that mountain. Sometimes it's slow, and sometimes it's a steep drop. I mean, hey, look, I'm not wishing him any will. He puts $1 million plus in his body, so he probably can hold up. But I mean, it's one thing to say it, man. It's in basketball ain't football. I mean, football is a lot of physicality and your body goes through stuff. But Tom Brady's benefited from rules and 16, 17 games once a week.
Absolutely.
It's completely different than 82 games, or even if you're playing 60, not to mention going into the postseason and the wear and tear and the constant running up and down. Like, look, LeBron, he's scoring, but he don't move like he used to. He lumbers.
It's something to be said because you can tell the other night he was trying to get that record out the way.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw at the end of that game, he was hurting. His foot was hurting. And he did not play tonight.
Didn't play tonight. Yeah, didn't play tonight.
Right. So that's something to keep in mind. Like he had games where he scored 30 and 40 this season, but it didn't look like how it looked the other day. He was going for the record, and you can tell. And we also now see the effects. We saw the effects in that game and now the game after. Because he wasn't in the game down the stretch of that game because his foot was bothering. And now he doesn't play tonight. So LeBron has shown me, yes, he's able to still play at a high level at the age of 38, year 20. But what he also has shown is that you can get all those numbers and have absolutely no impact. Like those, like when LeBron used to score like that, you used to feel that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like now he scored like that, and it's like the opponent is like, okay, good for you, LeBron. and we just gonna proceed to keep kicking y'all ass. Like it's like it has no effect on the opponent. It's like, what the hell?
It has no effect, but that's a different Lakers team. Now, after the trades, now LeBron's impact might happen because the Lakers are a different team after the trading deadline. Is this not true? Are they not a playoff caliber team now?
Are they?
Man, we'll see.
Yeah, I think they
Does
are.
D'Angelo Russell give him that much?
It's not just D'Angelo. Achimura. They got a couple other guys who can space the floor.
Vanderbilt, they got Beasley.
Yeah, Beasley.
They made some solid moves.
They really
I
did.
just have to see it before anything, because one thing that when LeBron teams make these type of moves mid-season, they always backfire. As good as they appear to the surface, they always backfire. And so that's why I'm holding off to see what. I don't want to jump the gun and say, like, I want to actually see beforehand.
Well,
Like,
okay. Are we saying, are they?
I think the potential.
Are they
is,
in the
they're
six?
better. They're better than it. No, I don't think so.
So they're in the play-ins. What you're telling me?
I think they're in the play. They're too. The teams ahead of them made major moves too.
True.
The teams at 4, 5, and 6 are the Phoenix Suns, the Dallas Mavericks, and the Los Angeles Clippers. All made moves. Now, what everyone that I'm seeing on social media or different podcasts talking about, like the Lakers per se, getting into the top 6, everyone is banking on the Sacramento Kings.
Failing.
Yeah. Sacramento.
Because they're the 3 seed.
They're going to be able to jump Utah. I like OKC. That's a good young team.
They're not going to withhold though. They're not going to withhold. They're too young. They're too young.
I just saying I like.
No, I like them. They. I mean, what we fail to realize, they've been beating the Lakers' ass since LeBron been there.
They've been beating our ass too.
It's not like that was because the Lakers aren't good this year. No, they was beating the Lakers when they were the champions. So OKC has, for some reason, like, I know they came back twice on the Lakers from like 20 before. Like, so I mean, but they're going to hit that wall like they always do. The interesting one is Sacramento. Like, have they turned the corner where they? But I don't. I want to believe in them because it's a ascending team, a team we're not used to seeing. But do I really believe in them?
All right. What? I'll go ahead. I'm sorry.
No.
What does KD going to the Phoenix Suns do to the West?
Puts it on its head, I think, doesn't it? I don't know. I think they lose some defensive perimeter stoppability on the perimeter with their defense, with Bridget, McHale being gone. Yeah, I think he was one of the better wing defenders. And I think KD, although at times he can play D, he's not going to do that for long stretches. He'll do it in spurts. I think it makes them very difficult to outscore. And they can inside out you, and you have a great. I'll put it this way: this is Chris Paul's best chance to win a championship, even if he doesn't stay healthy in the playoffs like he never does.
But shoot, we gotta hope KD stay healthy.
True, but I think he will. I think he will, and I mean, and that goes without saying. I mean, I think we're saying all things being equal, if they stay healthy,
they have a really good chance to. They should definitely be the favorites in the West if they're healthy.
I think so. I think Denver might be the only team I feel confident could really give them problems because Jokic is such a tough matchup because he doesn't just score, he rebounds and passes. And he gets in the way. He's not a great defender, but he gets in the way. And I think with Murray being healthy, and I think with what's the dunk champion or not a dunk should have been
Aaron
champion.
Gordon.
Yeah,
Aaron Gordon.
he's improved his game a bit more so, and his physicality and athleticism could pose a bit of a problem. Like I don't know if anybody's going to stop Durant, but he could wear Durant out by Durant either having to guard him or just being physical with him. And I think they're a well-coached team. I think they might be the one team to give them problem. I mean, Memphis, I don't think Memphis has an answer for KD.
Memphis gonna get in their own way.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. I think they're their own worst enemy right there. They're that team that's they're talented enough, but they're young enough and believe too much of the hype about the talent to be ready. They're like Seattle Supersonics winning and then getting upset by the Denver Nuggets in the first round. They're on that track right now.
They are the true definition of the social media era.
I got a question. The Brooklyn Nets now.
Oh, dude, we saw them beat
the forfeit the franchise.
Wait.
They're on the way.
Before that, it's got to be the most disappointing team in maybe sports history.
Yes, I was gonna say you might as well don't even say basketball. You just throw. I mean, the only team that comes close to me where it's like they look like they should be something and they just don't even meet the hype. And this is not even really fair comparison because the Nets failed for like several years at this. Like I think it was a KD and Kyrie played like 16 times.
Oh yeah, they only the big three of KD, Harden, and Durant. I mean, Irving, Harden, and Durant only played 16 games.
16 games. That's crazy. But the only team that comes close to me is the Eagles when they had Vince Young,
the dream team.
The dream team. Because when you say it yourself, you set yourself up for a massive failure.
Yeah.
But that's the only one that kind of comes close. It may be the Olympic team that lost that had, a young LeBron and young Dwayne Wade. Yeah. Right before the Redeem team came up. But again, I don't
count that.
I'm just saying those are one-offs. The difference is those are one-offs. This Nets team had 3 years to try to figure it out, and they just couldn't.
Or how about when the first rendition of the Nets, the Brooklyn Nets with KG, Paul Pierce, Joe Johnson.
Well, you knew that wasn't gonna be nothing. They was too old, man.
I'm just saying they presented it like it was.
Yeah, well, nobody.
10 years of the Brooklyn Nets, man. They've messed up royally.
Man, but they made some they do it so spectacularly that it's interesting. It's like a flaming, like a car wreck, like a flaming car wreck.
This was epic.
I wish my team could somehow get a big three in a modern era here.
Man,
yeah, we got a big three.
Right.
Big three All-Stars, Vooch, DeRozan, and Levine.
These dudes. And then they go out.
We got the great value big three.
The Nets give up everything, and then they get the Chicago Bulls later that night, and just put it on them. The Bulls, and they do nothing at the trade deadline.
Yeah. They said they're gonna be buyers, but they didn't buy anything because they set.
But they didn't sell either.
Oh.
They're just
I really thought AK and the other guy was gonna be something.
Wheels and dealers, right? Movies.
That's what it started off as, and now it's like
really thought
it started off that way, and then it's like, oh man,
fell in love with the guys.
Maybe they believe too much, man. They're true believers. I don't. I don't get it.
That's.
I mean, at least
we always get the believers. We believe in our guys. We always get those in Chicago.
what's the issue?
I don't know. Like, I don't understand why DeRozan's still here. I mean, I'm saying I don't have anything against him, but you can get something for him, and he's an older player, and he can definitely be someone to help out some team. I know, whether it's a team like Cleveland or whether it's a team like, I don't know, Denver. I don't know, somebody that he could help out, and we could get something for him. But to not move anybody, I get why you don't trade Levine to some degree. I get that. You just give him a max deal. He's younger.
Nobody wants that right now.
Right. But it's like in Vucevic, I get why the Bulls did let him go, but I also think you could have let him go. It's like in a team, especially down in the playoffs, you can have someone like him in the middle with that versatility, especially out west, because you got to deal with Ayton, and Jokic. If I'm some team out there, and Sacramento could use someone like Vucevic, you know what I mean? I don't get why, like you said, Smoke, we get the administration that falls in love with our guys. Like, they're good, but if Durant can be traded and Kyrie can be traded, why the hell do we still have the guys we have? I don't understand that. I just don't. Charles Barkley was traded back in the day. I don't get why we still...
Well, he forced the trade though.
Okay, whatever. AD's been traded.
I mean, but everyone is able to make moves, and it seemed like all the time the Bulls, we're stuck. We can't make a move. I mean, it just always seemed that way. Like, how the hell was Cleveland able to get Donovan Mitchell without giving up any of the key pieces to that squad? How was they able to do
marketing? They give up marketing. That was a key piece.
You give up marketing. Who had been given up on?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, and we can never let moves like that.
Think about it, dude. The last big time move we made was getting Dennis Rodman. As far as trading to get somebody that was, arguable Hall of Famer and had success, a 2-time champion at that point in time. Dennis Rodman. It's the last.
That's the last one. You don't count the Jalen Rose for Ron Mercer.
No, I mean, I can't even count Levine for Jimmy.
Vooch is probably the next best thing.
Well, I'd say Levine and Butler. That's probably in terms of significant players being moved. But even those guys weren't. Butler wasn't a superstar at the time, and Levine was a guy that was injured.
But we would be better if we had Butler versus if we had Levine. So that's why I say the Vooch trade.
Well, yeah, but I mean, again, I'm talking about giving up star to get star or something like that. We haven't had, or giving up a champion to get somebody. Like, we gave up Purdue, so there wasn't a whole bunch on our end, and maybe something else to get Rodman. Okay,
I'm gonna tell him you said that.
Well, he was a superstar. That's all I'm saying. But he was a champion. I did say that.
He was
a 3-time champion. So, and it's something that position wise for depth, San Antonio felt it needed at that time, and Rodman was the headache they didn't want any longer. So we really kind of,
we did them a favor that turned out to work
right
massively.
Right.
Well, we were the one team that could handle that.
Right.
You had the enough adults in the locker room to handle that.
Someone that Rodman could actually respect, and someone who's it was his team unquestioned. It only was his team; it was his league.
Right.
So even Rodman was like, "It's Michael Jordan's league." So I ain't dumb. I mean, I may be crazy, but I ain't dumb. But I mean, and again, as I say that, it's not like it's getting Durant or getting Kyrie or I'm just saying that's That's and I'll say this about Jerry Krause, and I've always said it about Jerry Krause. As much as he's been unliked and unloved in this city, he was pretty much damn near the best GM that I think this city has had outside of Jim Finks.
Easily.
He constantly was making moves. He would fit in perfectly in today's NBA because he was constantly making moves. How many times he flipped and we have 2 or 3 first-round picks in a season? I mean, when Stacey got here, he was one of 3 first-round picks.
Man,
it goes even to the end, though. I mean, he drafted Elton Brand number 1, and then 2 years later, flipped them to get.
Don't forget when he got Elton Brand, who did he also get in the first round that year? St. John's.
Oh, that's right. Ron Artest. You're right.
Right.
Yes,
Ron Artest.
Yes.
And then he gets Eddie Curry and Chandler.
And Chandler, yeah. 2 years later.
When he got Stacey, BJ, and Jeff Sanders. And when he got Horace, and Scotty. I mean, this dude was constantly, he wasn't just having 1, he was having 2 and 3 first-round picks in the same draft class.
Yeah.
We can't even manage that.
And you looking at these teams giving up. Who did the Warriors? The Warriors
Wiseman.
They got rid of White, but they got 2 other people. The Warriors gave up 10 second-round picks today.
Right. Whatever that
second-round picks.
Wait, I've never heard of that. Wait. Crowder got traded to
twice.
He got traded twice.
The Bucks
but he
for
got
5 second-round picks. The Warriors got GP2 back from the Blazers for 5 second-round picks.
I don't know if I want to be traded for 5 second-round picks. And what does that say about second-round picks?
I don't even know what that means anymore.
That they're pointless.
Completely.
But clearly we value them because guess what? We started in his second year. And no offense to Ayo, I gotta love him being a Chicago kid, but he was a second-round pick. So we're gonna hang on to those.
What they get for you, dog? Oh, they gave 5 second-round picks.
5 second-round picks, dog. And we ain't doing nothing.
Not a thing.
Oh man. But hey, you know what? They are holding out hope that Lonzo is gonna be all right come next season.
Man, I wanted
it back. Seth Curry. Seth Curry. Can we got Seth Curry?
I wanted them to make a move so bad. I would have took Ben Simmons for Lonzo Ball. That's how bad I wanted them to make a move. I would have took Ben Simmons for Lonzo. At least Ben could get on the floor every 4 games or something. Do something. Lonzo was done.
Might be.
Come on.
What about Seth Curry? We need shooters. How come we couldn't get Seth Curry?
Man, I was seeing that they was talking. It was like a rumor, but they were saying the Bulls trade Levine to Brooklyn for, I think they said Dinwiddie, Joe Harris. No, it wasn't Dinwiddie. It was that came from the Spurs. Patty Mills.
Okay.
Joe Harris, Seth Curry, and it was one other person.
Yeah, I hang up the phone.
And picks. Man, I would have did it.
I'm still hanging up the phone.
I would have did it.
That's a whole bunch of garbage. Garbage in, garbage out.
Shooters.
But personally from Zach though. Zach scored 38 tonight, and
personally, I would rather us get rid of DeRozan before we get rid of Zach.
Me too.
I really would.
Aren't they saying that Zach is the issue right now though?
I think Zach is caught trying to prove something to himself and his teammates or something. Like it's like he's playing harder for the wrong reason. Mm-hmm. He's trying too hard. So I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yep. As opposed
to just do just play your game, because you play like you did in the Olympics, play like you did before DeRozan got here.
And that's the thing. DeRozan came. DeRozan was going off, and to the point where Chicago had began to grow with Zach, and then DeRozan came, and quite frankly, a lot of Chicago went instantly to fuck Zach.
You think so?
Like, I see it on social media. I see it all the time.
Not right away though.
It was pretty right away. I'll say it was. When did DeRozan hit the game winner against Washington? That was in December.
Washington, and then back to again
It
Indiana.
was Indiana. It was Indiana
first, and
then
then Washington. Yeah.
And
That was
and everyone was saying
January.
that was in December.
January. Yeah, early
late
January.
December,
Yeah,
early January.
Yeah.
No, it was actually New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. That's exactly
That's
what
right.
it was.
Yep, that's right.
And I remember everyone in Chicago was saying Zach was hating on DeRozan because he didn't celebrate.
Right.
I remember.
Yep. It's been DeRozan's quote unquote unofficial team since, another way.
Since.
You know what I think it is? And this, you got to factor this in. He's light skinned. That's what it is.
That's very true. That's you ain't wrong there, brother.
Oh man,
light skinned brother playing basketball, man. Come on, man.
Y'all are wild.
But no offense to in DeRozan came, he gave us that excitement for 1 year, but it's a reason why he's so expendable around the league now. It's not sustainable. It doesn't elevate your team.
Nope.
It doesn't. It's ISO ball.
That's what it is.
We ran a better offense before DeRozan came. Granted, a lot of this could be attributed to the fact that Lonzo Ball isn't there, but even still, I tell people it wasn't like Lonzo was orchestrating the offense. He was the spot up shooter.
A lot of times he was. I think
he
on defense,
he orchestrated the fast break,
right?
But he wasn't the ball. It was still ISO ball. He was the spot up shooter.
He wasn't Chris Paul running the offense.
Yeah.
Well, no, but not many people are.
Well, I'm not saying
he could
doing it as Chris Paul, but being in control of
it. He could get the ball and he could tell, hey Vooch, you don't need to be at top of the key right now. Take your ass down low. He could do that.
But he wasn't doing that.
But he wasn't.
He wasn't doing that.
I think he did do that.
Oh, yes, he wasn't doing that.
Well, you know what?
He was giving that ball to DeRozan and Levine. He was going to the wing and waiting to catch and shoot.
I remember that more than him directing offense, but it's so hard to remember because he didn't play that long. Like 3 months and it was done.
Yeah.
But it seemed to work. They were number one in the East.
Well, yeah, I think
when he got hurt.
I think defensively with him, Zach, and DeRozan, and even the Paul and Caruso and P. Will. I mean, I think their length and their athleticism and their quickness, it made a big difference. And so they got to thrive being out, in the open and filling the lane, so on and so forth. But I think in terms of like a base offense and setting up in the half court, we didn't really have that. We were still trying to figure that out, to be quite honest with you. And then, he got hurt and we are where we're at now. So
Alonzo helped. The defense he brought led to fast break points. Mm-hmm. That was the biggest contributor from Lonzo. That was major for us. We were scoring on the run.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're trying to score in the half court, and when we had trouble defensively, even with Lonzo, we couldn't produce in the half court. That's why we struggled. So,
last thing, and we'll move on. Russell Westbrook, if he does become available,
no,
I'll take him.
No,
I just like entertainment.
Oh, okay.
So, did it give you a reason to watch?
Yeah.
So the sadistic, the sadistic side of you wants to see him be.
Man, look, somebody Somebody that's go out there and be just doing wild and crazy. Man, look, man, I would have went for him and Pat Bev. Look, look, man. Look, I'm tired of us being so boring, man. Nothing interesting about
I'm
the Bulls.
sorry. I saw the rumor popped up on Twitter last night after the trade, and I was like, no, the Bulls can't do that. I mean, I know we want some activity, but
I know
that can't be it.
they were talking about between him and John Wall. John Wall needs to retire.
When's the last time John Wall played a game?
I don't know. He
no,
continues. He starts
no,
with every team during the season, and then they eventually pay him to stay home. That's what eventually happens.
No.
He's not hurt.
No, he played last night. He played last night.
For who?
My NBA 2-3
I'm about to say.
And he was killing.
Hey, because I'm about to say, I watched the whole Clippers Dallas game last night.
Oh yeah, he get more tick on NBA 2K than he is in real life.
So we still believe the NFL is the number one sport in the
NFL.
country,
Yeah, I was
right?
about
Yeah.
to say
No. NFL stands for not for long, right?
Man,
Dude.
I haven't heard anything about the Super Bowl this week. Nothing. Did they have a media day?
Yeah, they did. They did. It was probably the quietest, least, controversial or supercilious media day that I can recall in quite some time. The fact that the Kelsey's mom was one of the, top things people talked about, that the Kelsey's, Mrs. Kelsey, in terms of, her sons and that stuff. It was like, wow, like that's it, huh? Nothing else crazy, nothing else going on. Just Mrs. Kelsey talking about her boys. That's nice. Next,
I have a reason that this has happened. I think I'm spot on here. This goes back to Christmas Day and the NFL taking over Christmas Day from the NBA.
Ooh,
this is karma.
Oh,
Hey.
I didn't even think about that.
There has to be it. Well, do you remember a time when the trade deadline?
The trade deadline is always after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. Do you remember a time when the trade deadline was Super Bowl week?
Well, the Super Bowl keeps getting later and later.
That's why I'm saying it could be that could be the case too. Because it changed, because it was like,
well, they added the week. But I'm pretty sure
2 weeks ago was the anniversary of the Bears losing. It was like, damn, that was 2 weeks ago.
Right.
So you're right.
I don't remember last year's Super Bowl falling on trade deadline week. I don't remember that. I remember it being a heavily hyped Super Bowl.
Well, what was the Rams, and who was it? The Bengals.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you had for the second year in a row the home team hosting a Super Bowl. You had a lot of superstars, particularly on the Rams side, big names, and then you had a team that people, underdog type kind of team that kept winning games that people didn't expect them to win. Beat the number one seed in the Titans. They beat Kansas City after trailing.
Okay.
And you got, a guy who won a national championship in Burrow and Chase being on the same team. So you had some nice stories and some follow-alongs and everything. I think it's weird. And I agree with you. This year, I would have thought that this would have been even more hype because you got Andy Reid facing off against a team that gave him a chance to be a head coach with the Philadelphia. You got Sirianni, who used to work under Andy Reid,
who was fired by Andy
Reid. You got two black quarterbacks. I'll get back to that later if we got time. It's first time in NFL Super Bowl history, two starting quarterbacks being of African American background. You've got a guy who has never not been in an AFC Championship game. This is his third Super Bowl appearance, in 5 years as a starter, and considered a potential all-time great already. And you got Jalen Hurts, who everyone knows because of, if you follow college football, you know him from his Alabama days, then Oklahoma briefly, and a guy that people can root for because they like his pedigree, so to speak. So you got a team in Philadelphia. Both teams have been to Super Bowls. Both teams have won Super Bowls in the last 5 years, I think, last 6 years. So this should really be the Super Bowl where you got, where you can say these are Super Bowl champions, former champions facing off against each other. I mean, it has so many differences. You got brothers playing against each other in Kelsey's, Jason and Travis.
So plenty of storylines.
Plenty of storyline, and nobody could give a damn.
But the main one
What's that?
you hear the most is the fact that people still don't believe in the Eagles and Jalen Hurts. That's one of the main storylines that I continue to hear.
But they're a favorite, though.
They're the favorite, but that's Vegas. That ain't the people.
That's all that matters.
Well, I mean, if yeah, really. If you're comparing quarterbacks, that's the only advantage Kansas City has as far as players on the field is at the quarterback position, and then maybe the head coaching. Other than that, KC is a decided underdog position groupings compared to Philadelphia. I think.
Now I wonder where it would be if Mahomes was 100% healthy. Where that line would be?
It'd probably be even.
Because I think it's 1.5 right now. The Chiefs are getting 1.5 right now. So,
well, here's this: if not just Mahomes, but if Mahomes and the receivers were healthy, you might even see 0.5 point plus. For the Eagles, they might be like a 0.5 point underdog.
Right.
Because you're saying this Kansas City team has been there before. This Philadelphia team, some of the players have been there. This coaching staff hasn't been there, and the quarterback hasn't been there. So I think you would lean on Mahomes. I think Mahomes is probably going to be the MVP.
He won tonight, yeah.
Oh, he won it. Okay, so I was right. So my thoughts were right. So yeah. But all that being said, there's plenty of reasons why this should be arguably one of the more hype, talked about, anticipated Super Bowl matchup, because you got the number one defense, you get the number one passing offense. You know what I mean? You got so many different. You got a team that I think both teams were number one, number two in sacks. I mean, it's a big disparity between Philadelphia 1 and 2, but they're both for 1 and 2 in sacks. I mean, it's like, dude, like this should be like top 5.
It ain't who they had built in at the beginning of the year.
No, it was Buffalo and probably the Bucs, or Buffalo and maybe the Rams. Notice I didn't say Kansas City at all.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Buffalo was the team that was supposed to be there. Yeah. Now I'll say this. I alluded to it. So I said I alluded to earlier. As I say this, I still think it's important and it's significant because it hasn't happened before. But when I heard that this is the first time 2 black quarterbacks are meeting in the Super Bowl, I honestly thought, like, really? Like, I thought it happened already. The story, the fact is a fact and is historical on that regard. And again, like I said, I believe it's significant. But as far as a big time story, to me, it's kind of a bit of a nothing burger. And I say that because, and I remember talking to my oldest brother. I said, dude, there's about 8 starting black quarterbacks in the NFL. He says, no, there's not. I'm like, yeah, there is. And at the beginning of the year, there was actually 9. And I said to him, dude, there's probably about 20 black quarterbacks in the NFL if you count the starters and the backups. No, there's not. I'm like, yeah, it kind of is. And here's why I say it's a bit of a nothing burger, because I expect that now. I'm not shocked by it. It's just the numbers are increasing, so invariably it's going to happen more than once. But we've seen Mahomes, this is his 3rd Super Bowl appearance. Russell went to back-to-back. Cam Newton was a MVP, went to Super Bowl. Steve McNair went to Super Bowl. Donovan McNabb went to Super Bowl. Doug Williams was the first black. Like I guess what I'm saying is, if this happened 20 years ago, I'm like, we've never seen this before. I'm pumped. Yes, because at that point, maybe there's only 5 black quarterbacks in the whole league. Like when Lovey and Tony Dungy went
as the coaches.
Yeah, I mean, it's super rare. I mean, like, wow,
that was a huge deal.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's a huge deal. It's like, at this point, it's like, all right, like, I don't see a black president in the world, for our country, and there's a black female vice president, 2 black quarterbacks playing the Super Bowl, and this in 2023. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's cool, but I'm not like, oh my god, man, this is it's not grabbing me like Doug Williams when he won the Super Bowl. It's not grabbing me like when Warren Moon went into the Hall of Fame. It's not grabbing me like when Lovey and Dungy played, against each other in the Super Bowl. It's not grabbing me in that same regard. And I don't know if I should feel bad about that, or if I'd realize that this is actually more of what I expect.
So I think it's a good thing that it's what you expect, because that shows the expectations you have for the black quarterback. I would say the reason it's probably not hitting you, because to me, I still feel like when I say they, y'all get what I'm saying. I still feel like they don't want to acknowledge the black quarterback. I mean, let's just look back over the span of 3 weeks, because we can go as far back to when Kansas City played Cincinnati, or was about to play Cincinnati, when Sir Dan Orlowski said Joe Burrow
better quarterback,
is the best quarterback.
Patrick
Mahomes is the best player, or the label with Jalen Hurts as he's a running quarterback. We're still battling those same narratives and stereotypes that surrounds the black quarterback. Pat Mahomes has, for the most part, forced their hand a bit, but on the flip side, like watching the show watching Speak and Shady McCoy and all them on there, like they're very Eagles, and they spent all season debunking the fact that people was trying to say that Jalen Hurts is just a product of the system and the talent that Philadelphia had. They spent all season killing that narrative, only to come to the Super Bowl and say Jalen Hurts can play bad and the Eagles can still win. That's a contradiction. Like you're saying what you've been fighting all year long. Like, and it to me, those are the things that black quarterbacks still face. Like it's and that's why I think it's not that. I think it's just not being elevated to the level like when Lovey and Dungy got there. It's not being elevated because we still aren't. They still don't believe. They still don't believe, in my opinion.
Well, I think
for them to believe, Hurts got to win.
I think it can be that. I also think it's more of control and controlling the narrative. And I'm going to tell you what you are. I like to label you. I want to keep you in your lane. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to classify you as a dual threat, which is code for black athletic quarterback. Because we all know, and I think I've said it many times on our show, you can't tell me Steve Young wasn't a dual threat quarterback. You can't tell me Josh Allen, who's been leading the Buffalo Bills in rushing at least 3 out of the last 4 years, you can't tell me he's not a dual threat quarterback. You can't tell
us Mr. 15 passing touchdowns that everyone wants to all of a sudden elevate to a top 10 quarterback, and Daniel Jones.
You can't tell me Daniel Jones is not a dual threat quarterback.
He only had 15 TD passes this year?
He only had 15 touchdown passes.
Wow,
And
I
people
didn't know
have been
that.
saying that he was a top 10 quarterback this year.
I did
He
not know
threw
that.
less touchdowns than Justin
And
Fields.
Justin, Justin threw 17.
I did not know that. Wow.
And don't forget, Daniel Jones has had some 50-yard and 60-yard touchdown, or at least runs. You know, he
Well, no, he always trips right before he gets to the
right,
end zone.
right. So I mean, you can't tell me Trevor Lawrence isn't a dual threat quarterback. They won't say that, but Trevor, you know, I remember Trevor in college that run against Ohio State when they played him the first time. You know, that was a big run. That was
Only thing he could do at that time.
yeah. You know, so yeah, man. I agree with you. I think it's being a black quarterback is still a thing. But I going back to my early query, when I heard, you know, Justin and I'm not Justin, I mean, but Jalen and Mahomes were the first two. I felt like, yeah, whatever. I really more interested in Kansas City and Philadelphia playing than I am in focusing on two guys who were both MVP candidates, who I expect to be back in the Super Bowl at some point in time in their career. They both have that talent level within themselves and surrounding them. So I just, it's a bit, like I say, it's a bit of a nothing burger to me.
I agree with you. I didn't even realize it until I was recording the Super Duper podcast with Rob Griggs last week, and he mentioned it on the show, and I was like, "Wait a minute,
really?"
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Usually I'm the sports guy, and he's trying to get me away from talking sports. But yeah. I'm with you there. It didn't hit me until my attention was brought to it. I was like, yes, it should be a big deal. But I mean, we come to a time where
and that's a good thing,
it's
right?
being excited. I think it is. I think it is.
Okay.
And
I think it is.
I have another theory as to why it's starting to become more noticeable.
What you got?
I'll speak on it offline.
I think I know where you're going.
Just remind me.
Yeah.
Just remind me.
Yeah.
You're gonna do that to the people who are listening, huh? That's cold.
Smoke say he got things to worry about.
Well, I know. You know what? No, I'm gonna say it. I think one of the keys, I think where it went unnoticed, especially in the beginning, was because I don't know how many Black people truly viewed Patrick Mahomes as Black until they saw his dad in action.
Well, that's just knuckleheadedness because we coming all that whole spectrum.
Yeah.
But I think that's why it became because his dad was kind of more of the popular person than him after the defeat of the Bengals. Like, it was, I've seen so many people saying, man, I knew Pat Mahomes was Black, but I didn't know I didn't know his dad was
culturally
Black,
speaking.
Black,
I know what you said. I know what you said.
So I think,
right. Like, I was speaking with one of my boys, and he was saying, culturally speaking, Pat seems to skew. And I'm not knocking Pat at all, but it's just in terms of, like you said, people's perception. Obviously, he married who he married, but in terms of like the music that he seems to gravitate towards, or some of the concerts I guess he's going to or not going to, just the kind of BS that people say, this makes you white or this makes you Black, or like don't talk, same kind of stuff, you don't talk Black, or just perceptibly people things they apply to. And yes, Patrick is obviously extremely light skinned, but it's like I've never heard Patrick shy away from being a Black quarterback.
Never.
I've heard him always address himself as such and respond to social matters as such. So, I think, sometimes we tend to, I hate the term crabs in the barrel, but sometimes we tend to be. Well, I'll put it this way, and I learned it or heard it once in school. Like we tend to be very schizophrenic within our community.
Yeah.
About and getting caught up in colorism and those kind of things. And it's just like, look, dude, he you know, end of the day,
you got a bunch of Dr. Umars in our community. I'm sure y'all know what quarterback he roots for.
Yeah, we know. Yeah, we know what. Yeah, we rooting for. He's a Philly guy anyway, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's why he's rooting for him.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah.
All right, so who y'all got then? Since we didn't went from.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's do it now. I'm gonna take the Chiefs.
Wow.
Plus the 1.5.
Okay.
I am taking the Eagles minus the 1.5. I just think that they have the better team.
Yeah.
And the element of Jalen Hurts is
significant.
It's very significant.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Eagles. And I just hope Sirianni doesn't freak himself out and make goofy decisions. The only way I see the Eagles losing if Sirianni sabotages his team's attempts by trying to do something that they didn't do when they got themselves there. Like do what brought you.
He's been the person that I've been scared about. He has.
Right.
He has all the antics and the colorfulness and stuff he be doing. Like,
he might be enjoying Suer Bowl too much.
Right. Like he has been one that I've been worried about.
But I think the Eagles are just too much talent. And just I can agree with you. I think they're just a better team overall. And KC is banged up.
I saw the Eagles beat the Bears by 5.
Saw the Chiefs go to overtime with the Texans. And they lost to the Colts.
Ooh, oh man. Damn.
Just
messing up all my logic here.
Just messing
up all my logic here. Jeez. No, Mahomes is a magician, man. I can't bet against Patrick Mahomes.
So he's a magician, kind of like Rocky and Bullwinkle. Hey, Rocky, yeah, what Bullwinkle? What, hey, don't grab it out of my head. No, Bullwinkle. Hey, Rocky, what? Wrap it out of my head again. Open up the sleeve. Yeah, I'll
take the Chiefs. Hey, Hall of Fame got announced today. No Devin Hester.
No D. Hester.
That's just a travesty, man. That's just a Travis Kelce. That's just a travesty, man. When you're the best at what you do, I don't understand why.
That's the thing for me. Like,
change the game.
So are we just saying forget return specialists? Because there has never been. If you're going to exclude him, don't use that as a factor for anybody that actually you're considering that might be a corner or might be a receiver that do punt returns too. Like, that should just eliminate the criteria then.
Or just punt the ball to 20. Don't even use specialists in the game any longer. Just put the ball to 20 every time. And when you punt the ball, no return, just where the ball lands, that's where you go. Because the dude changed the game. Matter of fact, because of him, they changed kickoffs. To where they kind of have removed the effect of a kick returner because he was so devastating at doing it. And at a time where you had guys like Cribbs who was pretty good at doing it too, but Devin was still better than those dudes. I mean, Torrey Holt said it in that Monday or Thursday night game against the Rams. He changes games, ladies and gentlemen. He changes the course of games.
I know this is year 2, but there have been guys that have had to wait. It took Tim Brown a lot of years. It took Chris Carter, who I thought was a top 10 receiver. It took him 3 times. Took T.O. 3 times.
Well, T.O. we know why.
Yeah, they didn't
Well,
like him.
We know why with T.O. We know why with T.O. But
I think eventually Devin Hester will get in.
He will, but no disrespect to them guys. They ain't the GOAT at what they did.
No, they weren't.
That's all I'm saying. I get it. You want to make him wait because you don't feel that that position is as valuable. But that man is the greatest of all time.
Yes. You got
what
kickers.
he did.
You got two all-decade teams and is in the top 100 players of all time.
Ray Guy is in the Hall of Fame as a punter. There's some kickers. Vinatieri will go into the Hall of Fame as a Hall of Fame kicker. I don't understand why the best return specialist, there's even any question why, for everything you just said about the different teams he's on. And when you watch it, I mean, man, he's only got to take the opening kickoff in the Super Bowl all the way.
I say you asked Dion, who said it's becoming the Hall of Very Good and he need a different jacket. I guarantee you Dion would say Devin Hester deserves the jacket he deserves. Because Dion has come out and said his criteria means that you are the absolute best at what you did. And there's not a soul on the planet Earth that will say there's somebody that returned kicks and punts better than Devin Hester.
Not for his long, not the amount or for as long. Not only that, but think about some of the kickoffs, some of the returns. They needed that to win the game, or it needed to change the flow of the game. And the ones he did on prime time, where everybody's watching you, and you still deliver.
Where everybody's watching and everybody telling the opponents, do not kick it to him. Don't kick it to him.
Right.
And how many times do it, and it still gets taken back.
And how many times you do it twice in the game, where there's either 2 punt returns or a combination of kick and punt returns. I think he did at least 2 or 3 times he did it twice in a game. Come on, man. That is
Dave Toll brought up the fact he changed the game by because of what he did. You couldn't put linemen out, big linemen out on kicker punting because they couldn't catch him. That created a liability. So it changed special teams, changed that forever.
You try to kick a field goal and miss, it might cost you a touchdown.
Yeah, that's real.
Oh, that's right. It did happen.
That happened. That happened
again on a Monday night game or Sunday night game.
Sunday night.
Yeah, I mean, dude, on a national scale, he was clowning people on a national scale, time and time again. And we didn't say he's the best wide receiver playing specialist. He's the best specialist. We're not trying to get him for the wide receiver. We're not trying to get him as a defensive back. He's the best specialist, return specialist in the history of the NFL. Point blank. Should be in the Hall of Fame.
By the way, the inductees this year will be Rondé Barber, Don Coryell, who I think is probably long overdue.
Yeah, long overdue.
Chuck Howley, I don't know.
Oh, dude, Chuck Howley is the only guy to win MVP in a Super Bowl on the losing team.
Really? Play Cowboys.
Yeah, for the Cowboys, yeah.
He was also a Bear for 2 seasons.
Yeah, when the Cowboys lost to the Colts, Super Bowl 5.
Okay. Joe Klecko, I remember him.
Hall of Fame? Really?
Hall of Fame, yeah.
Hall of very good to me, but okay.
All right. Darrelle Revis. Ken Riley, who
Ken Riley should have been in there a long time ago. Yeah.
Actually, my wife's cousin is married to his son. Joe Thomas, well deserved.
Yes, I agree with that.
Zach Thomas, well deserved. You don't like Zach?
Hall of very, very good. I don't know if I make him a Hall of Famer, dude. Middle linebacker, you need to be as good, if not better, than Urlacher and what's the brother's name from
Ray Lewis.
Ray Lewis. And Zach was I wouldn't. I don't even know if Zach was as good as Mike Singletary was.
Zach was a dog. I'm sorry. No.
I'm not saying he wasn't good. I'm saying I think he's in the Hall of very, very good. And then how long was he at that level? How many games did he actually change? I mean, how many playoff wins did the Dolphins have? How many double-digit wins? He was a very good middle linebacker, but was he better than Sam Mills? Was he as good as Sam Mills?
Sam Mills is in.
I said, was he as good as Sam Mills? I don't know.
Probably yes.
Okay, he's middle linebacker, right?
Yes.
I think he's. I'll put it this way. I feel more strongly about Devin Hester, not even as a Chicagoan, but I feel more strongly about Devin Hester being the best at what he did, as opposed to.
Well, I'm not saying that Zach Thomas is the best linebacker of all time.
But I don't know if he's as good as some of the guys that are in there. Is what I'm saying. In fact, I have a question about that.
Middle linebackers in the Hall of Fame: Ray Lewis, Mike Singletary, Jack Lambert, Dick Butkus, Brian Urlacher, Nick Buoniconti, Ray Nitschke, Sam Huff, Harry Carson, Willie Lanier, Sam Mills.
Dude, I'm sorry, Zach Thomas.
No,
he ain't like the torch of those cats, dude. The ones you just mentioned. Maybe Nick Buoniconti might come close, and they play for the same team. I mean, he might come close to that, but that's the only cat on there. And Nick Buoniconti to me is in the Hall of very, very good too. But he ain't none of those. He ain't Dick Butkus. He ain't Sam Mills. He ain't Mike Singletary. He ain't Ray Lewis. He ain't Brian Urlacher. Dude, I'm sorry. Harry Carson. I don't think he did as long as Harry Carson did. Willie Lanier, hell no.
No.
That's what I'm saying, bro. And you put Willie Lanier, I mean, we're talking 60s, 70s. So, look, I like Zach Thomas. I have nothing against him. He's a good player. I think he's like Donovan McNabb. Donovan McNabb's a very good player, but he's not a Hall of Famer.
I don't think anyone's barking that Donovan McNabb should be in the Hall of Fame.
No, someone said to me, Cam Newton. If Cam Newton had won the Super Bowl, would he be in the Hall of Fame? I'm like, I still don't know if I put Cam in the Hall of Fame if he won the Super Bowl.
Pro Football Reference says that Zach Thomas is statistically an elite middle linebacker.
Oh my God! Here we go with the analytics again.
I'm just telling you what they're saying.
Was the fact that his true scoring potential matched when his shoes were tied at the same level?
I'm just telling you what this is saying. All right, the elite middle linebackers, according to Pro Football Reference: Ray Lewis, Mike Singletary, Jack Lambert, Dick Butkus, Luke Kuechly, Zach Thomas, Brian Urlacher, Patrick Willis. That's all time.
And if Patrick Willis had played longer, I think he was on the Hall of Fame track. Zach Thomas to me should not be in the same breath as those other guys. I'm just sorry. Hall of very, very good, dude. I didn't see him I'm sorry. Did he dominate his era? No.
I disagree.
He dominated his era? Is he Luke Kuechly? He's not even Luke Kuechly, bro.
I disagree with that. He was up there.
You know who he reminds me of?
Who?
Him and Al Wilson about the same cat. And I like Al Wilson a lot. Al Wilson's not a Hall of Famer. He's in the Hall of very, very good. Al Wilson and Zach Thomas to me are pretty much the same.
I think you're underrating what Zach Thomas did in Miami. Just me. Just me. We will agree to disagree, I guess, on Zach Thomas. Anything else?
No. Let's grumble.
Oh man. Well,
hold on, dog. This dude only got 20 sacks his entire career. Come on, man. 1,100 solo tackles.
What is that?
That just mean your offense was bad. You was on the field a lot. That's all that means to me.
Hold on. 17 interceptions.
Okay. All right. I looked at Al Wilson around the same time. So roughly same amount of sacks, and Al Wilson had half as many tackles. So I guess Zach Wilson was a tackling machine. Congratulations. You're in the Hall of Fame.
1,700 tackles, man.
That's total tackles. I'm talking about.
I understand that. I know.
Yeah, well, I look, the total tackles to me is like I got there at the last second and I got a tackle. The credit to me.
The Bears were the kings of giving Brian Urlacher tackles.
Exactly.
And he's 400 over Urlacher.
Yeah, but Urlacher had 41. That's why I say I go to solo tackles. The solo tackles means I know you tackled him, not that you jumped in at the last second.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, Urlacher, who wasn't a great blitzer, had 41 and a half sacks, not to mention how many interceptions he probably had. Plus, he had almost the same amount of solo tackles. So, yeah. And we know he had impactful season. Plus, he picked off the ball a lot, and he scored on those.
He did. And I'm not saying that Zach Thomas is better than Urlacher, though Pro Football Reference says that he was.
Oh, my God. It's just...
All right, I don't believe that. All right. That'll do it for this week's edition of the Easy Smoke and the GM podcast. I want to thank you for listening. We greatly appreciate it. You can catch our podcast at Apple Podcasts, Google, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, or wherever you find your favorite podcast. You can also catch us at hp53productions.com. There you'll find our podcast and the Super Duper podcast hosted by Rob Griggs and the Father Good podcast hosted by Marshall Givens and Kenny Stevenson. We hope that you enjoy your Super Bowl weekend, because I know you're pumped up about it, even though you're not hearing anything about it. But that's all right. Yo, Glenn.
Yeah, yep.
Please take us out.
Hey, it's like I always say, I ain't saying we're right. I'm just right about Zach Thomas, and you're wrong.
We'll see. Well, it's over now. He's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I guess I can't. I was a losing battle.
His gold jacket is coming.
Yeah.
We'll catch you next week.